Hello, my name is Randy Fang, and I'm going to discuss how Thailand, a third world country, is dealing with coronavirus. So I'll start with a quick timeline of COVID 19 in Thailand. So on January 13th, the first confirmed case was reported. On March 1st, the first confirmed death. 3 weeks later, a big change was made on March 22nd, as the max cases within a day, being 188, was reported. And that day, a lockdown ensued because the jump was very high that day. Then, almost 2 weeks later, more big changes were made on April 3rd. First being a curfew from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., which prevented citizens from going out during those times. A mask mandate, as well as a travel ban from April 3rd to the 30th, was also set in place. And then, roughly from July 1st to July 16th, the businesses and services began to reopen on the agreement that they would adhere to social distancing practices and standards. And July 16th actually marked 6 weeks straight with no new confirmed cases. And there's actually a bit of controversy in that, which I will go over. So, throughout all this, there has been 3,200 cases, roughly, and 58 deaths. And this is a graph leading up to the reopening. As you can see, the big peak at 188 on March 22nd, and then that's when lockdown ensued, which then led to a drastic decline in the number of cases. So the increased cases on March 22nd was actually all connected to a boxing gym and a venue selling drinks, as Muay Thai and boxing are both very, very popular sports in Thailand, so this would only make sense. But in a good display of good health and well-being, the citizens of Thailand have been very adherent to the lockdown, mask mandate, as well as the curfew. So Thailand is actually the first Asian country outside of China with a confirmed reported case. But there has, of course, been some controversy with these extremely low numbers. So in a country of roughly 70 million, there has been a little over 3,200 cases. Compare that to America, with a population of almost 330 million and roughly 4.8 million confirmed COVID cases, and the difference is pretty giant. If you compare that to France with a similar population size of 67 million, France has 188,000 confirmed cases, and again, that is extremely high compared to Thailand's. Now, some people have contributed this to Thailand culture of greeting with a bow rather than a handshake or a hug, or their healthier lives, living with fewer rates of pre-existing conditions, but that does not truly explain the difference. What's most likely the problem is the amount of testing kits that Thailand has and does. As of mid-July, only 600,000 samples have been tested. That number compared to other Asian countries, is extremely low, as you can see. Thailand ranks as one of the lowest Asian countries in terms of testing numbers. So due to these low numbers, Thailand has received a great deal of foreign aid, especially from the US, with a total of $2.7 million of funds going into COVID relief, especially in the form of testing kits. Thankfully, with this, Thailand can produce roughly 100,000 testing kits per month as of April. And although foreign aid has given Thailand a good opportunity to deal with the virus, the Thailand government has made it a point to not rely on these imports from other countries, as this is called import reliance. And during a time like this, it only makes sense that the government would want to self isolate and be self efficient. But masks has also been a bit of controversy within Thailand during these times. Not that people of Thailand don't want to wear them, but America has sent millions of masks over to Thailand, even with an already adequate supply. And with this, many rumored individuals working within the government have been selling masks overseas to other countries for profit. But this is somewhat understandable. Being in a lockdown as a third world country with poor citizens is tough. They can't afford to be in shutdown for the time, which was from March 22nd to around July 16th. So, the economy and tourism industry within Thailand have been absolutely destroyed because of this. Bangkok, once the world's most visited cities, cannot generate revenue for a whole month and still continues to generate much lower revenue due to the lower amounts of travel. So the ban on travel was originally set from April 3rd to April 6th, but ultimately, through repeated elongation of the ban, led them to reopen on April 30th. And this goes to show how important the industry is for Thailand. It is predicted that roughly 60% of hospitality businesses will close by the end of the year. So, along with the economic troubles, there arises a problem in mental health. Already, Thailand has had a high suicide rate of 14.4 suicides per 100,000, and that is much higher than the world average of 10.6 suicides per 100,000. And with economic hardship, there has been increased suicides all over the world, but that will disproportionately impact poor countries such as Thailand. Thankfully, though, the government has made some moves to offset that. They have offered those impacted by the virus a $150 a month stipend for 3 months. And for reference, a factory worker makes roughly $10 a day. However, this does not come with its own set of problems, however. The angst from not being able to receive these funds or not knowing when the funds will arrive is tough, and as of now, millions of Thailand citizens have not received their money. And there have actually been multiple attempted suicides for not receiving these funds on time in an attempt to protest. Mental health volunteers are also being trained to seek out signs of depression, anxiety, burnout, and other suicidal tendency and refer these people to the right healthcare professional. And as you can see in this picture, this is outside of a Thailand bank in which they're um, giving out the funds to the people who have been affected. So, overall, Thailand has seen questionable success. Although citizens are adhering, there's a lot of question of if the numbers reported by the government are actually accurate or not. But it is for certain that the overall numbers have lowered drastically. Because if you look at the numbers of COVID and flu cases within the at-risk population, the numbers are actually much lower than the norm. So the government has made great efforts in considering when to allow foreign interaction, and in the past, Thailand government has placed a great value on mental health of citizens, and for this situation, it's really no different. And through multiple SDGs, such as Partnership for the Goals, albeit limited, good health and well-being, decent work and economic growth, adhering citizens, Thailand has seen success nonetheless, even with the lower amount of testing that come with being a third world country. And thank you so much for allowing me to redo my presentation with this better setup. And here are my sources, and I hope you have a great day.